A French Ultramarine battle. Sup, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video, and today I thought I'd pit these two one against another, the French Ultramarine by Daniel Smith and French Ultramarine by SAA. So I recently discovered SAA. I really love these so far. Society for All Artists paints, really good ones. I've got the classic Daniel Smith French Ultramarine, and you can tell which one I've been using for a longer time. So what I thought I'd do is kind of a comparison video, and this is something I never really did as far as I can remember. So I'm just going to compare these two in terms of all of the categories I could think of, and then finally I'm going to do a quick demo, just swatches, because I just want to show you the difference in what these two look like. Okay, and you'll find that some of these have advantages over the others, and I really want to help you make a better decision if you want to try out and buy new paints. These are both professional artists. Oops. These are all professional artist grade, and so I really enjoy using them both, and I can recommend these both of these wholeheartedly. But there are some advantages and disadvantages, so this is what we're gonna explore in this video. So let's get started. Okay, so on this side we have Daniel Smith, and on that side we have the SAA. So in terms of pigment, it's pretty much the same, PB29. The colors themselves look really similar, and I will show you again what they look like later on, but the appearance is very similar. Series, so Daniel Smith is Series 2. SAA don't have any series, so it's just one big series for all paints. This puts Daniel Smith at about $12 to $14 on Amazon, is what I saw at least. I think this doesn't include delivery. And SAA is at £7 or 5.4 pounds. So £7 is about $10, I guess. So this one is a little cheaper. Now, the reason I wrote 7 or 5.4 is that 7 is for non-members, but you can sign up as a member for SAA, and it's actually not that expensive. It's like, I saw they have like a membership that's, I think, worth it a little more if you live in the UK, because it's a UK-based brand. So they do free deliveries and really cool stuff. But they do have worldwide overseas membership and local membership. They have a few types, so it's like 30-something pounds a year, and you get this price. So I think it could be worth it if you're purchasing a lot of paints, even if you're overseas. So this is why I wrote this. This one is a little cheaper to begin with, but can be much cheaper. I think if you live in the UK, this one is a much better option than Daniel Smith in that sense. In any case, light fastness. So we've got excellent light fastness on Daniel Smith. SAA is A. A is good under normal conditions. I'm not sure what that comprises of, but generally speaking, the light fastness of this one is good. This one, that's a new category. There should be a line here. But in any case, Daniel Smith's conforms to different ASTMs, that's just health standards that relate to consumer products. There were 2 written there, and you can see them, I believe, on the tubes as well. And this one, I didn't see it mentioned anywhere, so I'm just going to assume that it doesn't conform. I don't know if that's a major issue. Just, you know, I avoid touching the paints as much as possible with my hands. I just use brushes. You have to be a little careful because some paints can be a little more toxic than others. Now, transparency. So Daniel Smith's is transparent. The French Ultramarine of SAA is semi-transparent. If you're looking for more transparency, then Daniel Smith is a better choice. In terms of granulation, both granulate. The texture is a little different, I will say that. It's, from what I saw, a little more pronounced on the SAA. Also, I said they look similar, but there's a bit more redness to the SAA, but just very slight difference. And the biggest difference in terms of vegan, non-vegan. So SAA are vegan. Daniel Smith, I said non-vegan. I will put the sources down below. I saw a really good blog post that kind of summarizes this. And she or he they were trying to contact Daniel Smith regarding if their paints are vegan, and they got kind of an answer that isn't that isn't one-sided, I guess. It sounds like there are some things with this one, so I wouldn't count on it. Some paints are definitely non-vegan in Daniel Smith, but some potentially could be, but from what I saw, they aren't. Anyway, I will put the links to the sources below. SAA, on the other hand, are definitely vegan, at least that's what they say, so I would trust them. They're supposed to be all 100% vegan. With some brands, like I know Holbein, they have for example, Ivory Black is non-vegan, but all the rest of the paints are. But with Daniel Smith, I just don't know. Some of the filler, if there isn't filler, I believe, or the gum couldn't be perhaps non-vegan. I'm not sure, so I don't want to say for sure. From what it seems to be, these aren't vegan, and these are definitely vegan. So anyway, these are the major differences between the two. I would say there's the price point, there's the transparency, and there's the vegan thing. Other than that, you know, in terms of appearance, sorry, that's my phone, they are quite similar. So what we're gonna do now is a test, just swatches one next to another to see the difference and if we can even tell the difference. Okay, so there are two experiments I want to do here, and the first one is just a normal swatch, here and here, and then I'm gonna do wet and wet, because I think it is helpful to see how the paint disperses into the water. So we're gonna start with Daniel Smith and just do the normal swatch. So I'm grabbing here some of the paint, and I think I'm gonna have it gradated from top to bottom because it makes more sense. It will allow you to better see the comparison between the two. So let's start with an ultra pale wash, just like this. Well, it's not ultra pale. I tend to go way too dark sometimes, but in any case, I'm just gonna add a bit more blue to it. Gonna make it a little stronger. Add a little more. With every line or two, I'm just adding a bit more. And now we can probably get this to be really dark. And the paper does have a bit of texture, so you can see the dry brush texture, but I don't want you to see it, so I kind of just painted over it. And this is what we get now. I'm gonna try and get this to be as dark as possible. And I think the darkest we can get it to be is really, I'm pushing against the paint now, is somewhere around this. Okay, so this is the darkest this one will get. Now we can try the same thing for the SAA. Okay, so it's time for our comparison. I'm gonna take just a little bit of the French Ultramarine. I can say that it behaves a little differently. This is something I noticed happens. The feeling is different when using it, though I can't really say what it is. So I'm gonna start once again at the top, this time a little more pale, finally, just because I was able to do that, not because of a difference in the paint or anything like that. So I'm gonna try and mimic the value I see on the left, try to get it as dark as it is, and on at the bottom we'll do that, like the darkest that it can. My voice is so strange, you know. I was a bit sick last week, and it still didn't recover exactly. I don't know why. It's like I got a deeper voice now. Maybe it's permanent, I don't know. So in any case, now I'm just really digging into the paint and getting the darkest that it can. So of course I did some of the difference accounts to me and how I did it, but notice how, and I can see it, and maybe you can see some of it too. This one feels to me like it has a bit more red to it. I'm gonna show you another comparison I did earlier. Check these out so you can see the granulation pattern is a little different. This is the SAA, this is the Daniel Smith. Granulation pattern is a little different, and this one is a bit more reddish, though here I'm not sure I can really see this the same way. But in any case, in terms of dark, they both achieve a similar level of darkness. Again, visually they're both really similar. So let me zoom in a bit just so that you can see some more of the details of the comparison. So instead of zooming in, I'm just holding the paper up to you. I think that's a better way of doing this. So I don't know if you can really tell that much of a difference between the two. There is definitely something, you know, just due to the different ways they mix these two paints. But in any case, that's enough for this example. Now we're gonna do some wet and wet and see how it behaves. Let me zoom in a bit here. So we're back to Daniel Smith now. I'm just gonna pre-wet the paper, and as you can see, really, there's no significant difference between the two if we're just looking at it visually. So they're very similar, and I wouldn't say that the visual aspect will be the one that will make me use one over the other. So this could be good news. So I pre-wet the area, and now we're gonna get some of Daniel Smith's paint, and just we'll look at the reaction it has. So it does disperse. Now I read that the dispersion has something to do with I forgot the word for it, but like ox gall, or something like this that makes it a little more wet, I guess. And that's definitely not vegan. So this is one reason to suspect that these aren't vegan, though again, I don't know. I don't just want to say this or assume this. There could be other ingredients that make the color disperse better in paint, in water, sorry. So we can just enjoy. This is a fun exercise to do if you just want to loosen up, if you feel a little tight before you start a painting session. Then it's just a good way to just enjoy the paint, see what the paint does, and get accustomed to how paint operates when it's used on a wet surface or wet and wet in that way. So I think this is just a really fun little thing to do in general. I'm gonna actually do a painting really soon, and this could be a good way of loosening up. So now let's move on to the SAA, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll pre-wet the area, and now that the paper is wet, I'll start putting in the paint, and this one disperses really well as well. So there are some alternatives to ox gall if you want to get it to disperse better. I'm not even sure, maybe there's just a slight difference and the Daniel Smith spreads out a little more, but a really nuanced difference that I can barely even notice. But you can see it's a little different. You can see that the pattern itself is a little, it has more of splitting edges to it. So I'm gonna try, I'll zoom in just a moment and you can better see probably the difference. Also, the paper buckled just a bit, so it could count for some of the difference. But in any case, what I think I'll do now is allow these some time to dry, and then we'll take an up-close look at the patterns and what they look like. So even before these to dry, I did want to show you already the difference in the patterns. So take a look at this here. It's more soft and round, the edges around the paint. Sorry, my voice is a bit weird. And here you can see there's a lot of these different splits. So I don't think that's a major difference. I think both can work, but just wanted to show you that. Now, these two already dried, and I can tell you that after they're dry, I can see a very, very slight difference. There's just a tiny bit more red here, just as I thought in the SAA, okay? Just a reminder, this is the SAA. So there's just a bit more red in this one, it feels like, okay? If you look at it again up close, maybe you can see this. But in any case, this is it. This is the comparison I wanted to do. Let me zoom out a bit. Okay, so I think this is it for this comparison. I think we got a really good look at these. You can see how this one, hopefully you can see this through the camera, just has a touch bit more red. You can see this in all of the different values actually. This one looks a little cleaner to me, a little more straight blue. The way they disperse is a little different. Here it's a bit softer and gradual change, while here there's a bit more of a shift in the values and also the different patterns that you see here. Again, these are not necessarily one better than the other, really. It's just interesting to see the differences and how they react. I actually like this look better wet and wet, and I like this one better when it's just wet on dry. But in any case, these two are again of excellent quality. Both can work. It just depends on what your deal breakers are and what you're looking for, okay? So I think now we can change the angle and wrap up this video. So this is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and comparison. So as you can see, there are reasons to choose this one or that one, and both of these are just great. I think I will for now stick to the SAAs, okay? I'll probably just run out of Daniel Smith and won't buy new ones because I really enjoy the SAA and the PWC that I can get here locally. So I'll probably try using them as a replacement and see how it goes, see how I feel they are like when done in several more full large scale paintings. Maybe even let them some time to see how the color reacts and stays and doesn't shift over time, you know. But overall, I think both of these are a great choice, and if you have some deal breakers like the vegan, non-vegan, etc., then you can choose one over the other. In any case, this is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will put links in the description box below if you want to purchase these, or also for my Patreon page if you want to support me. That's the best place. Also, my beginner's drawing course and the podcast and everything is going to be linked down, including a text version of this comparison, okay? So you can check out the description box and you'll find out this information or a summary if you just want to see some of the details themselves without all the blabbering and talking around. Then you can find usually everything in the descriptions of my videos and other videos as well. So this is it for today, and I will see you again in another vid real soon.